Okay, it's the time for Two Talk of the Towns. It's that Wednesday of the month when we meet with either Mayor Tom Kuntz or City Administrator Kris Busse. And Kris joins us more today, getting us up to date on some things happening out and about around the city of Owatonna. A few things I guess you wanted to hit on, Kris, was the fact, well, talk about feeding the animals. There's something we should be aware of.
Yes. Well, we had some response from our community members saying, gee, the raccoons are a problem in our community, and we need to have an ordinance prohibiting the feeding. And so after looking into it and getting a fair amount of calls on it, our city attorney put together a good ordinance that prohibits the feeding of raccoons, deer, turkey, ducks, and geese. So if some people think you're really helping those animals, but in reality you're not, and the DNR and everyone really discourages that. It just gets the wildlife dependent on that kind of food source, and it just leads to all kinds of problems with destroying landscapes, getting into garbage cans, just becoming just a nuisance all the way around.
Could you get a ticket, or is it just going to start out like a warning offhand,
Right. I think our first approach would be to warn people and inform them of the ordinance if we get a call. But yeah, if there's repeated, if you're told about it and told not to to discontinue your activity, and you fail to do that, yeah, you would be followed up with a ticket.
And you can probably help too by just making sure your garbage can is sealed and it has got the lid and the top on, which will kind of deter those rascals. Yeah, raccoons can be a problem for sure.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you do have some questions, that you have a searchable website with some different things that'll help people get answers to questions.
What council at our last meeting, we did the adoption of the 2015 code, and we went through a process that's called recodification, which is a rather, it's a housekeeping kind of a boring thing that you have to do, but what you do is you review all of your ordinances, see if there's any conflicts with state or federal, make sure they're up to date citations, make sure they're organized in a logical fashion. So we did that, and along with that there was an online searchable option that the city paid for. So now if you go to our website and you want to find out what the codes are, there's a search box, and you can just put in dog barking, you can put in parking, and it'll bring up those ordinances that have to deal with that. So I think it'll be much easier for our public to find out what our codes are. And so we're excited about that.
Or I could type excessive noise, or something would pop up about, you can't make so much noise after 10. Well, it wouldn't be like that. Right. It'd be similar to how you do that.
Correct. Yeah.
You can find out the penalty and the rules and stuff.
All like brings you right to it. So yeah.
Okay, that'll be easier than having to make a phone call and someone track it up and do it yourself. And of course, I guess it's spring, but also Minnesota call it road construction season as well. And they'll be starting up, won't they?
Yes, they will. And you can see the process started last April 7th, where we approved the award of some bids for our annual pavement rehabilitation and our street and utility overlay projects. So that will be going weather dependent. As soon as they can, they're going to start hitting the road and getting things going with that.
And of course, the big one, of course, will be kind of the repeat of last year outside on the edge of town there, I-35. They'll be doing it the other way this summer and fall, it looks like. The Gateway 2, any report update on that?
Yeah, council approved the final plat of the Gateway addition. And as you recall, that's I think it's a 36-unit workforce housing, and it'll be kind of across from the blast there. They hope to begin digging in July. So we would just remind folks, a lot of people park there and go to the blast, but we would encourage them to park down below where the chamber office is. There is a tunnel, and it's really a nice walk. You get to go under a tunnel. It's kind of cool and unique, and then you can walk off your ice cream before you eat and after. So I think that's always a good option.
And again, that housing, that was like, it's kind of supplemented. It is like for the working person. So
right, yeah.
Based on income, or?
It's based on income, right.
Okay. Okay, some other things you'd like to touch upon that have happened recently in the city, or things that are coming up in the near future in Owatonna?
Yeah, one thing we should remind everyone, April 20th at 7 p.m., we're having what's called the Board of Adjustment and Appeal. You have already gotten your notice on what your assessed value, what the county assessor has determined the value of your property. And if you have an objection or a concern or a question about that, we'd ask you to come to our meeting on Monday, April 20th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. We'll have Bill Efforts there, our Steele County assessor. He'll do a presentation and kind of walk through what he, his methodology and what he sees as values, and kind of talking about how that whole process works. And we hear from property owners, and they can raise their objections, and many times it involves not being able to get it. The assessor maybe hasn't been able to view their property, and so sometimes there's a follow-up that way, or we can answer a question, or later on at a subsequent meeting, the council can take action to reduce or change values. So,
and I would guess there's a number of people that would guess it would be a first time they would do it, or maybe only do it once in their life. So how would it work? Could I just walk in there and say, I'm assessed at 200 and I think it's worth 100,000 and stand up, or do I have to wait in line, or do I have to have an appointment, or is it private, or how does that work?
Well, it's a public meeting, and
Okay.
so you'd come in and check in with the assessors, and just bring your tax statement with you. It makes it easy, and they look up your property ID number, and they pull up your information, and then they can talk about it. It's fairly informal.
Okay.
I would recommend, if you're going to come in and say it's too high, you have to have a reason for it. You have to have, maybe you've done an appraisal on your property recently, or maybe there's some areas or some detail that's incorrect. Perhaps they have the square footage wrong, or they have your basements finished and it's not. So, there's those kind of details that you can check through. But you really have to have some kind of reasoning for why you feel your value isn't correct.
Okay, that's good information to have. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of folks maybe just go there for the first time, not sure what to expect.
Oh, sure.
Anything else before we wrap it up, Kris?
Well, I think we've got everything that we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
City Administrator Kris Busse, our guest, and next month we'll be talking with Mayor Tom Kuntz, third Wednesday of the month at 10 o'clock for our second Talk of the Town that day on AM 1390.